Oops. Hello. Good afternoon, I guess. It's actually my day off, but I wanted to do a small stream while Oscar is sleeping. Because I made some adjustments yesterday. I think I concluded it at the end of the last stream, but now I actually have it running. So let's have a look at the code or the thing running. Oh, it's not actually running. Let's see. I should really add this task. Maybe we should try doing that now because I had an issue with adding tasks. So I want to do yarn dev. Oh, and I have to run it as well. I didn't actually want to run it. Okay, let's try closing this. Let's see if this is working now. So let's add a yarn dev. There we go. And hopefully that's actually in there now. Anyways, okay, so let me show you what I did. So now you see the hunks, but you can see, like, I really like how the coloring works now. Now the yellow is the actual hunk. And then when you don't have any additions, you don't see anything. You just see that there are changes to this area of the code. In this case, I didn't have any additions, but if I tab, we can see that this area of the code actually had a couple of deletions. And then down here, we can see that I actually had additions here. And if I tab, you can see that there was also a deletion happening there. And yeah, doing it this way, it's really, really nice. Of course, there are hunks that are like way more complex. So here you can see, well, I guess it's still pretty good. Like, it highlights, it added this, and this was removed. But yeah, like we talked about, Git doesn't really. I read a little bit more about hunks, not in detail, but a little bit more. And there's like different algorithms of creating hunks, and it's a computer doesn't understand the contents. It's just lines. It doesn't understand what's on the line. It just understands how that line changed in terms of addition and removal, which is not what we really. It's not enough to tell the story of a PR, because it's actually the contents of the code that matters in a PR. It's not the actual deletions and additions on the lines. Anyways, but yeah, you can see how you're able to look at what was actually added here, to focus on that. And then you can see that's how I think about PRs. It's like, I want to see what is currently there, and with an indication of what was actually added there. And then sometimes I want to see, was there anything important removed? And then you can flip around. This is just an example of how it can work. It doesn't necessarily have to work this way. But more importantly, now when you use the arrow keys, it actually, I wanted to do it here. It actually moves between the hunks instead. So you don't move between lines, you actually move between hunks. And if I hit space and I do a left, now it moved that hunk to this other one. Now, one thing that's currently not working is that we now see that this is out of sync. The diff is out of sync. Because the lines actually changed. So producing the contents of this file didn't change, because I don't change the position of the change in the array. But in terms of showing the actual diff, that is now offset because of me moving this diff. Though what's good is that these diffs, the actual additions and deletions, are relative to the start position of the hunk. So when we change the start position of the hunk, the diff will just follow. So what we're going to do is fix that. and then we're going to explore, because I have this feeling that there's one more thing we're not dealing with. But let's fix that thing first. So I've already thought about this. What we're going to do is, so what I'm not considering here, for example, is that it might be a file without a hunk. But then it doesn't have any changes either. Yeah, maybe this is okay. Anyways, so when is not... So the thing here is that when we did this move over here, this hunk isn't actually accessed first. It's actually accessed last when we open this file, and that's because it comes from a SHA that's later, which is why actually applying the line changes works just fine. Is because it first produces the initial contents of this file, and then it applies these changes because they are later in the array, because they're part of a later commit. So what we have to do in the code is that whenever we get to a new hunk, we have to, so we should never have to offset the first hunk. But whenever we get a new hunk, and that hunk is from a later commit, we have to offset or transpose the existing hunks in this array. So we can actually do that. We can check if this change origin SHA index is more than its current SHA index. That means that it's been moved left. We can go through the hunks, or I guess we should make this a let. So what we can do is that we can map over the existing hunks. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Oh yeah, this is the tricky part, because no, we can actually use and this is the interesting thing. Like previously I had to transpose by transpose by each line change, but now I should be able to transpose by just looking at the hunk. So what we can do, I think, is that we can look at the hunk of the change, and we can do new start minus change.hunk old start. So that determines like how much of the lines shifted, like what's the new line count basically. New, so this is the new one, and then old transposed by would be, or should I use the end? Yeah, I guess I want to use the end start. Sorry, new end. These terms, old. Yeah, old end. Oh, yeah, wait. So, how do I want to do this? Transpose by. So this just tells me this should tell me how many. So at the after this hunk is applied, how many lines changed? How many changes were there? with that hunk. So if they end on the same line, it means that, no, this isn't correct. I have to, yeah, wait a minute. So we have to take change hunk new end minus new start. So that is the number of lines that hunk has. I think. And then we do change.hunk old end minus change.hunk new end old start. God damn it. I think this is correct, because now what we're doing is that we're looking at how many lines does that hunk have in the new document, and how many lines does it have in the old document. No, this isn't correct. What the fuck? How do we do this? Oh, god damn it. I need to know how many lines has been added. I need to know how many lines has been added to that thing, and I need to know how many lines has been removed from that thing. Yeah, so I think this is correct. So hunk, and then so this would just be like how many lines has been added. Hunk. Which means that we just take the hunk new start. Okay, we'll just have to try this. I have to have something on screen to reason about this. New end. Oops. And then I really hate spreading. Like, you see that? I can make any typo here. It's really annoying. And then old start would be the same. Old end, but now we do the opposite transpose. Because now is how many were removed. Old end. Oops. Hunk old end plus transpose by times. I think we just need to check. So what's happening now? The only thing is that, yeah, this only happens when we actually change hunk. I think this will work. Yeah, it actually did. You see that? Now it's actually on the diff is on the correct lines. That's funny. But yeah, you understand that this is at the limit. Like, I'm sure some amazing developer would just understand immediately how to figure out the data structure for this, but the complex thing about this concept is that it's one part complexity is the data structure and the manipulation of that data, and the other complexity is the actual user experience and how these two have to match. So you can't just think about diffs and changing diffs in isolation, or think about the user experience in isolation. You have to do this pull back and forward, which I've been doing for a long time now. Just, okay, data structure, and then, oh, but I want the user experience to be like this, and then data structure, and back and forward. And that's why constraints are so powerful, because if you can impose constraints, it simplifies. It just simplifies the amount of thought that needs to go into that data structure and the user experience. And maybe we're imposing too much constraints, but it's easier to have something that works with too much constraints and then iterate from there, instead of having like too little constraints and you're just waving around and nothing's really coming together. But I'm curious if it understands. Yeah, so is this still correct? So if is deleted, if is added. I'm just going to see if it actually looks like that. No. Yeah, so that's still wrong. So when I do this, you see, oh yeah, you see that? It should be on 157. Oh, that's interesting. Because that was interesting. What happens now? I move this over. Wait a minute. Okay, let's focus on the first one. Is added. So it starts on 146. Okay, it should still be on 146. Okay, so it didn't quite work. 146. 146. Okay, this one actually changes from 160 to. Okay, but let's focus on this one. It should be 146 to 154, 146 to 151. But when I do this, what did I say? 140. God damn, I forgot. 146 to 151. Yeah, so it's actually wrong. The old start. Wait a minute, what's happening here? Does this? Yeah, I guess this shouldn't matter. Let's just look at. Oh, god damn it! What am I doing here? New n plus transpose by. So like the new start, new end, that's the new version of the document and where the hunk should be positioned. And old start and old end is when I hit the tab. Well, maybe we don't need to do this. Maybe that's something in my brain. Let's see, let's try again. My brain thinks it needs to do that, but it doesn't. Oh no, it definitely does. Because now it's 144 and it should be 147, but for some reason it had like one more. 144. Oh, god damn it, I can't remember the numbers. Should be 146. Okay, so you should stick at 146. Okay, but now when I move it over, it goes to 144. Okay, and it does for both of them. That's interesting. So how much does it? So I guess it transposes by. Okay, so maybe did this the opposite way. So if we rather do this, it's the same? No, it went even, oh, it went even smaller. Okay, so let's try, God damn it. -2 is the transpose, and that's because what it actually does is that it removes 2 lines. So it means that it should, okay, this is interesting. So it used to be on 146, but now it's on 144, which is correct. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that is correct. So it used to be on 146, but now it's on 144, and that is correct. But still, it looks... Am I thinking about this the wrong way? Because, okay, what's the actual contents here? So what's the actual contents on 146? It's between commits and the for loop. And if I do this move, yeah, it's between the commits and the for loop. Yeah, this is correct. Cool. Yeah, so that worked. Yeah, so again, pointing to read about hunks, it's like, as you can see here, like this hunk is from 166 to 171, but I actually only did something to 171. Like I added something between is modified and changes. So it should really be just 170 and 171. You could argue that easily. But this is the algorithm that like takes stuff into account and then it makes it bigger. But the point is that the hunks, it's the purpose of a hunk. It's not to indicate what actually changed. Again, like the computer doesn't understand the concept of the change. But it's helpful to focus on the area of the code that changed. So that's what we're using it for here. While GitHub does this thing that I really don't like, it does this. So this is the same, like you have the hunks here, and I have the exact same line numbers on the hunks in the other solution, but it uses those hunks to collapse the other code. But the hunks doesn't represent a change, like a conceptual change. It's just a wrapper around some lines that were deleted and added. That's what a hunk is. So GitHub making this assumption that hunk actually represents a change in my code, a conceptual change in my code, it's wrong. Like maybe all of this is one conceptual change, and now I can't see the code in between. That's important to understand why these changes was made to the file as a whole. So yeah, but I'm not saying like GitHub is bad or people are not thinking correctly at GitHub or anything like that, but it's just a ton of reflections I made on what does it actually mean to create a narrative for conceptually changing something in the code. It's not about adding, removing lines. It's about conceptually changing how something works and how do you present that in the best possible way. Anyways, we fixed that, and I think we should actually commit this now. And we should start on a new branch so that we can start to actually play around with where it breaks. Finalize initial iteration. So let's commit that. We'll view the PR. We're going to merge that pull request. Whoop-de-doo. And then we're going to fork from main. So we're going to create a new one instead. And this one, holy surf. Do we have the task here now? No. I have to talk to a colleague of mine. I'm not able to add tasks for some reason. Because this holds all the changes, right? Yeah, match line diff and everything. Yeah, it's interesting why those tasks aren't stored. Well, I do have yarn dev here. Okay, so it is actually added, but for some reason it doesn't pop up here. Yeah, I can. Do we have, this is edit PR. Do I have access to, how does CodeSandbox look like in the tasks? You have run at start, name command, run at start. That's all they have. Yeah, I could add like run at start, but dev run at start. Oh, we actually have IntelliSense for that. That's nice. Yeah, but it still doesn't pop up. I don't understand that. Yeah, I'll okay, it doesn't matter. Let's just do it manually. Open. Boop. Yeah, so here we actually have it. This is super nice. Okay, so what we need to do now, I think we need to create a file, and we need to make a commit, and then we need to, or maybe we can actually just commit this. Add dev task, commit and push. I'm not sure if I can actually yeah, so now we have the commit of add dev task. And what we can do now to start playing around with this is that we can start producing some changes. So what I want to test first is I want to try to break it. I want to try to break the concept. So one thing is like not considering certain interactions and stuff. I don't care about that. What I care about is the diff stuff. What should we try first? I know if we make a change before this. Okay, so let's first just try to make a deletion. Maybe we can just, well, no, let's use. So where is the tasks? Okay, so let's imagine we remove this setup tasks. We're going to remove that. So now we should have like a pending. We should have a pending commit here. Maybe I have to restart. I'm not sure. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Why doesn't it show that pending? That's weird. Pending files. of pending files. I'll just refresh here. Isn't that what? Oh, are we on the, oh, sorry. We are on the of course, sorry. We have to open VS Code on this branch. I thought I was on the other one. My bad. Sign in, blah 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 later. Yes, I trust CodeSandbox. Cool. Okay, now we can delete these lines. And let's update. Now we have these pending changes. And as we can see, we have it considered that an addition, and we had the deletion of the 3 lines. So if I select this now and move left. Oh, that's interesting. Where the hell did it go? Oh, sorry. I'm not used to the interactions yet. Yeah, we do that. There we go. Yeah, I had to hit space first. I forget about that. I just selected. I even confused myself with should probably have a much better indication that things are selected. Anyways, so we have the thing in here now, and like everything looks exactly as it should. So now I've basically done like we're not actually passing this back to the server at the moment. That will be a new kind of iteration. But I guess this was the first proof of concept. Like I added this task, but I discovered late. Oh shit! I discovered later that oh, I also wanted to remove the setup tasks. So I just moved that into the original commit. Cool. But what if that was not what I wanted to do? What if I wanted to add a new setup task? So now we're going to add something, name mip command moop. And doing so, refreshing, we have the new line. We can see how it looked before. And if I now try to move this left, we still see the diff is exactly correct. The contents is exactly correct. The reason this fails is because I should probably, when should I do this? The reason it fails is because I have like the hunk index selected, but when I move back to the other one, I don't have a hunk anymore, so it can't find it. How should we do this? I think, where is this? Get lines and diff by SHA index. Oh, maybe we should actually, oh yeah, this is something else. Maybe we could fix that as well. Utils, get lines. So here we do yeah. Should I do a check here? Well, I can actually already here. Yeah, if no changes on SHA index length, we'll just return. We'll just return early. That's what's happening now. Lines would just be initial lines. It's the same. And hunks would be empty. Cool. I think that fixes it. Okay, so we select that. We move over there. Yeah. Cool. So now we have that working. But now let's do something more tricky. We are going to let's make a list first. What do we actually want to test? We want to test. We can of course actually write tests for this, but so I'm not worried about if I were to make changes after this, like that doesn't matter. Like that's a given that will work because when you move that hunk over. Yeah, so what would be interesting is if, So there are a couple of scenarios, like for example, if okay. Now I don't have any logic that deals with overlapping hunks. So if I were to, in the pending changes, to actually change something again here, it would probably render correctly, like the contents, but I wouldn't have any logic to kind of show the two hunks overlapping. So that was one thing. Okay, so missing features. I want to show this to Gianmarco as well. So I'm going to be explicit about what's missing. Overlapping hunks is not has no UX UI handling. And then we have, so if I add or remove something before a hunk, we do the transposition, which seems to be working. If I add or remove something after the hunk, it doesn't matter because it's just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. But what if I move two hunks over? Okay, let's try that. Okay, so we had that one hunk, but let me try to make another change here. So we're also going to delete the build. Let's see how it deals with that. Yeah, so this is two different. Yeah, it's really interesting how these hunks work. Okay, so now we have two things. So what if I choose to? Okay, I want to move this over. Oh, I guess we did have overlapping hunks now, but yeah, as you can see, like it. What did I actually do? What did that hunk do? Did I remove something? Yeah, I removed the build. Did I? Okay, I guess. Okay, wait a minute. Let's not remove that one, but let's remove the setup because I don't want the hunks to be overlapping because I said I don't support that currently. Oh, but now these two are in the same. Okay, let's not add that one, but rather remove this. And let's remove this. What happens now? Is that considered two different hunks? Okay, great. So what if I move this one over? This doesn't look good, does it? This looks completely fudged up. Yeah, something's going on here. Okay, this is interesting. What the hell happened there? So we had... Oh, this is very interesting. Okay, so something is definitely breaking here. Oh, god damn it. I have a feeling this is a fundamental thing I did not consider. That's what I do. When I make stuff, I'm always very optimistic. Because one thing, it wasn't the actual diffs that was the problem, it was the actual contents of the file, and that's a much bigger problem. So we have to try to reason about what actually happened there. Oh, that's also interesting. So the old one actually shows the correct contents, but the new one doesn't. How can that be? Okay, this is something to debug. What? But why does the old one show correctly? That's... Well, I guess it doesn't. Like you see here, it's completely off. This should be down here. Or the hunks might be overlapping here as well. But you know what? We're going to try to make this even simpler. So what if we do this? We have to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so this is great. This is one thing. If I move that over, that works just fine. And then we move it back. That works just fine. But then we take this other one. Oh, now I move both of them. Yeah, you see that? It's actually not... It's as if... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so what's going on here? Yeah, okay, I know what's going on. Like, or at least the start of what's going on. So, in this scenario, we already removed a line here. Which means that in this scenario, those lines aren't removed. So when we move this hunk over, it's based on that line being removed, right? It's actually on 7 that the hunk starts. And that's not something we deal with. And this is not the diff hunk, like this is not presenting the diff. This is the actual hunk on those lines. So what I think needs to happen here is that when I choose a hunk and I intend to move it, we actually have to transpose. Wow. I'm glad we constrained this to only moving left. Because this is what I thought for some reason I didn't have to do. For some reason. I don't know why. But I wonder if there's a different approach to this. Because currently there is no transposing of the actual lines. we just change the SHA on the lines, and that's a beautiful thing. But that of course only works I wonder if there was a way to like, no, I guess we just have to look. So what I mean is like I know I'm moving this hunk, and I'm able to figure out what hunks are in front of this on this SHA, and then I can transpose it when I move it over. And then the same thing would have to happen when I move back. So I guess we just have to do that. So moving a diff over actually requires transposing the actual, but this is interesting because then maybe we don't have to transpose the oh yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't transpose the diff. Maybe we should just transpose the underlying. Well, I'm not like, okay. So what's happening now is that in the code, when you do get lines and diff by SHA index, I'm actually creating a UI explicit hunks array. And this is where I do the transposing. But maybe that transposing should actually happen in the underlying hunk on each line. The tricky thing about that is, no, that's not tricky. It should happen when you actually move the diff. Okay, this is interesting. This is very interesting. Because that means, yeah, that also means since the diffs are based on the hunk, we don't actually have to do anything about the... Okay, so let's just change our approach here. The current transposing doesn't work. We actually have to change the underlying thing. So we can just remove the whole transposition thing. Prettier. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so what we're rather going to look at is the one move lines to previous commit. So when we move, but maybe things are way simpler now because it's hunk based. So when we move the lines, we just change the SHA index to the SHA index of the previous commit. But now we're only looking at line change.line. Yeah, so what's happening now is that I think we need to change this to not be lines and rather be hunk. Because if we actually move hunk to previous commit, like that's what we're actually doing. And what I thought is like, what you can do later is that you can split hunks up. That's a concept in Git, to split up hunks. So you would never operate on lines, you will always operate on hunks. It's just that the minimum version of a hunk is a single line. So I think we need to refactor that first, because when we have the hunk, we know how to transpose. We can do the exact same thing as we did. Let's do that. Let's keep this transpose by. let's keep the whole shebang. Because what we want to do is, so let's imagine, let's just do this right away. This is a hunk, PR hunk. That's what we're moving. And what we're going to do, and then we call it move hunk to next commit. So this hunk will hold the details we need. And what we want to check is, well, first of all, we can actually produce the transpose by. Transpose by, we don't need a change here, we just need a hunk. Okay, so this is how we're going to transpose, and the question is, what do we transpose? And that is, okay, let's look at this. So if the line change.SHA-index is more than the SHA-index, which means we've actually passed the SHA-index we're moving to, or sorry, we move from, that means like we don't want to do anything more. So that should break us out of the loop. And if we are, so this is if we are on the actual SHA-index, but we also want to look at what if we're on the previous SHA-index. Okay, so if line change SHA-index equals SHA-index -1. So if we are on the looking at lines on the previous SHA-index, what we want to do is check if the related hunk to that line is affected by the hunk we're moving. And to figure out if it's affected by that is if it has a start that is later. So we can check that. And line change hunk dot, and we can just use new start is more than the new start of the hunk we're moving. That's the case. We want to yeah, we already made a copy of the line changes, so we should be able to just go in and update it. Then we'll say, and we can even, yeah, we can just, no, we can't do that, but we can say line changes X. Like we have to, React has to, we have to do the correct React thing. So we want to change this item by transposing the hunk. So we'll say line change dot hunk, and here we want to do the thing we did on the other thing, and I think I just, okay, so here we want to do, oh yeah, we don't, do we even care, oh sorry, do we care, no. So new start would be line change hunk new start plus transpose by, and then we'll do the same for the others. New end, old start, old end, oops, old end. So now we're transposing. What did I do? Okay, so now we're just updating that object in place in the array, transposing it. Yes, exactly, because even though we're hitting lines, oh yeah, sorry, nothing. Yes. Now the tricky thing is that we don't only want to we don't only want to transpose, yeah, we want to transpose both ways. Anyways, let's just write write ourselves through this. So we have a line change. We first look at all the lines on the previous commit, basically the hunks, and specifically the hunks that appears after the hunk we're moving in. And then we're transposing that. And now we want to just go in and change the SHA index of the lines that's part of this hunk. And what we can do here, we can just check if the line change hunk, it's not the exact same object, but we can just like the thing is, I don't have an ID for the hunk, so that means that you could technically have two different commits where you have the exact same hunk size, and yeah, but they would have different SHAs. But I guess there's like an insane edge case where you have 3 different commits with the same hunk size, and you would move both of them into, yeah, but that seems like it's insane edge case. So we're just going to be a bit naive about this. And if the line change hunk new start is equal to hunk new start, this might not be good enough. Or yeah, let's create a utility for this. Export cons is same hunk. So we have A PR hunk and B PR hunk, and then we just check if they are. If new start equals B new start and A dot new end equals B dot new end, and A dot old start equals B dot old start, and B dot old end equals, sorry, A dot old end equals B dot old end. That's like, it's the same hunk. Is same hunk, line change dot hunk, and hunk. If that is the case, well, what we're doing, yeah. So this is just, now we're not going to transpose this one, because this moves as is over to the other line, and then rather the previous commit, and then rather this thing actually transposes the hunks related to this one. Okay, but now that we moved it, it means that we have some hunks maybe left over. That also needs to be transposed. So this is transposing hunks in the previous commit, changing hunk SHA, and then we do transposing hunks in the current commit. So that would be the exact same thing, only that yeah, maybe this can actually be an else. So its origin SHA index is more or equal to, wait a minute, this move, oh, we're on next commit, sorry. Ah, fudge. This is moving back. Okay, god damn it. God damn it. Okay, God damn it. Let's move this to, oh, for fuck's sake. I want to do this first because this is what we were actually doing. Transpose by, and it's basically the same logic. It's just that we're we can just keep this. Let's see, because it's just so if the SHA index, yeah, so here we don't actually have to do that additional check. We just need to know if it's the current SHA index and if they're on the same line. And then we do -1. Okay. And changing line change to previous SHA. And then we want to do the transposing thing in the current commit. Because what would happen here is, oh yeah, we can't see it now, but what would happen here is that we had these two hunks, and if I were to move the first one, which was a removal of a line, we want the second hunk that stays to wait a minute, that's the thing. Yeah, wait a minute. Because we have to keep in mind that since we can only move left, it means that if I were to move the first line left, it being additions or removals, that still happens. Yeah, but the hunk lines are still wrong. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're doing. So the contents will be the same, but the hunk lines are wrong. And instead of like having a separate level of like dealing with these hunks, we actually update them in place, so they always reflect. Yeah, anyways. What happened here? What happened? Hunk. There's something wrong with this file. What did I do? There we go. Okay, so we're transposing the hunks in the current commit. So if the SHA index, yeah, and we were going to do an else if here, didn't we? Because here we already, yeah, how should we do this? Yeah, so here we actually check. Yeah, I want to avoid doing this check twice. Okay, I guess we this is interesting. Okay, we actually, to optimize this a little bit, we're actually going to separate this. So, because I don't want to call that thing more than necessary. So if it's the same hunk, we want to do that thing. Or if it's not, if it's the same SHA index, but it's not the same hunk. But if we do the same check here, we do a bit of a naive check, else if line change hunk new start is more than hunk new start, and then we also transpose. Okay, I think that's it. I wasn't really following along there, but what we should see happen here now is that now that if we didn't have this logic and I am confused. Do I actually have to Ja? Jag kommer strax. God damn it. I need more time. Why did I have to transpose it? Because if I move this over, this hunk is still on the same line. Like, it doesn't change this hunk. Because it just doesn't perform the removal here. It performs it somewhere else. So it's more, yeah, so this is what can happen. So if I were to move this hunk over, no, it doesn't change. Okay, let's not do that for now. I can't make up my mind here. Do I really need this? Because if I move a hunk left, any later hunks will still reference the correct lines. It will. Like, it's just that what led up to that line for that hunk isn't produced in the same file anymore. It's just produced in the previous file, but it's still the same. Yeah. Okay, but let's just verify the thing we wanted to do, which is when we now move setup tasks left, this should still have, where the hell did it go? What the hell happened? Oh yeah, of course, I have to do more here. I'm passing in lines still. I'm not passing in the hunk. Oh my god, my partner is going to yell at me, but I have to check this. So here we are. Move hunk. I actually think we have the hunk. Move hunk. Oh, I forgot to rename it here. Bloop. Move hunk. Oh yeah, and we might have multiple hunks, so we have to do it in multiple steps. But yeah, just for fun's sake, we're going to do hunk 0. Just to see if it works. Should handle multiple. So if I choose this, yeah. And this is right, isn't it? What if I... No, this isn't right. Now it suddenly had an addition on... What the hell did I actually do there? Dev, yarn dev. And I added run net star, okay. Oh yeah, so it... God damn it. So it was at 21. And when I move this over, it's now at 20. It's now at 20. Just have to see what it transposes by. -1. That's actually correct. Because I did remove a line. There's something I don't understand about this. (21, 20). Oh, the hunk is correct. Yeah, because now the hunk is on 21. But when I move this, the hunk is on 20. And it's still referencing the same lines. But the diff is wrong. Where's the producing of the... apply. Oh. Current. Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. It shouldn't only transpose the start, and I need to transpose the actual line as well. And also the old line. So we're just transposing the whole freaking thing, I think. Yeah, there we go. Now it's happy. Okay. But this is a step forward. I'm getting like understanding it better now. Ja, jag kommer. Oh, God damn it. Sometimes like this is the struggle. Just finding time with everything happening in here, getting it out. Too much responsibility. I wish I didn't have all these ideas in my head at times. Anyways, I'm excited. We're getting very, very close to something. So yeah, we'll talk more tomorrow, I guess.